We want the Godhead to be three separate parts. And the reason the Godhead is explained the way it is so that we'll understand that, but they're not three. He is one. And so the one who made us, came and made himself like us, died for us, is coming back to us. Right? Like, we don't deserve this. We don't deserve him. We don't deserve this reality that the God of all things is so concerned and connected and desiring of us that he's given his own son for us, and he's waiting and holding his own son back so that he can gather us. Right? Like, it should be a little bit mind-blowing to realize that Jesus is not just some substitute that comes for us. He is God himself in flesh that gave himself, because that's how valuable you are and how valuable I am and how valuable all are. He is God, and yet he wants us. All of this brings us to something that we started talking about last week. He has all authority. Everything is under his dominion. He is in control. He is sovereign over all things. The song says it over and over. All things. But then it has to move from being theological to actually being personal. So if he's sovereign over all things, that means that he's sovereign over my things. And that means that he's sovereign over your things. It means that he's sovereign over their things. We can actively trust him because he is sovereign over all things. He is trustworthy because he is sovereign. The whole world is in his hands, and yet somehow we are in his heart. Right? Why is it possible for us to believe that he can die for our sin, that he can make a place for us in heaven, and yet we struggle to believe that he's involved in what's happening in the government? That he's involved in what's happening in the nations. That he's involved in what's happening in my marriage. That he's involved in what's happening in my body. That he's involved in these things that I don't want to think he could be involved in, because I want him to come from a distance and fix those things and then go back to whatever distance he came from. But if he's sovereign over all things, that means troubled waters, guess who troubles them? It means tension, guess who's tightening the screws? It means that when we rise, it's because he lifted us, and when we fall, it's because he pushed us. All while he's keeping us, so that he can transform us into the image of himself, which we cannot get to on our own.